To comment on this new recording arrangement, I'm in a new truck now, and I don't have the gear to hold up my phone in a good place. Also, I don't really have much space. Before I had another stand, and I just placed my phone there, but now there's no stand, it's just empty in a space for a refrigerator, so it'll change back in a while. I finished off with the words in Isaiah. After this, I said before, Matthew goes into the event of healing a man who is possessed so that now he could speak and see when he couldn't before. However, Mark and Luke have a lot more events that follow. Mark continues with the account of him going up into a mountain and calling the 12. Luke also has him going up into a mountain, praying all night, then calling the 12, then coming back down from the mountain and preaching his sermon on the plain, and then healing the centurion's servant. In Mark, when does the centurion's servant get healed? Actually, that's when he responds to being accused of healing by the power of Beelzebub. Mark 3:22. Yes, the account of Jesus being accused of healing by the power of Beelzebub and him responding to what blasphemy is in Matthew and Mark is the same event, but it does happen later. So I'm going to continue with Mark and Luke, him calling the 12, him preaching the Sermon on the Plain, and then after that he heals a centurion's servant, and then being accused of blasphemy. So, right now, between Mark and Luke, Mark, he charged them that they should not make him known. Verse 12. So verse 13 continues, and he goes up into a mountain. Luke, and it came to pass in those days that he went out into a mountain to pray. So I'll start with those words. And it came to pass in those days that he went out into a mountain. So the and is from both. Mark and Luke. And Luke, it came to pass in those days. So Luke only, it came to pass in those days that he went out into a mountain. From Mark, he goes up into a mountain. So he is from both. Well, actually that from Luke comes first. That, now from both. He, so now I could pick between he went out into a mountain or he goes up into a mountain. Actually, I might be able to put both. He went out and he goes up into a mountain. And it came to pass in the days that he went out and he goes up into a mountain. Yeah, I can do both. So I'll change this and at the beginning to be only from Luke. It came to pass in those days that he... You know, I'm actually going to keep it totally separate. I'm not even going to blend the he. He from Luke. Now I can keep going with Luke, that he went out, and I'll save into a mountain for afterwards. He went out, and now a space, and then Mark, and he goes up into, or into is now both, goes up into a mountain, and calls to him whom he would. But before he calls to them, it says in Luke, into a mountain to pray, and continued all night in prayer. So into a mountain is from both, and only those three words. Into a mountain to pray. Into a mountain to pray. That's actually only Luke. Into a mountain, and now Luke to pray. Luke continues, and continued all night in prayer to God, and calls to him whom he would. To pray, and continued all night in prayer to God. I'm actually reconsidering this first sentence. And it came to pass in those days that he went out and goes up into a mountain to pray. That doesn't sound right. Went out and goes up into a mountain to pray and continued. That's past, present, and then past again. Went, goes, continued. That doesn't sound good at all. Because Luke has went and continued all night in prayer, both past tense, I think this goes up, the word goes from Mark is the thing that doesn't fit and is the thing that has to go. I'm considering the sentence reading like this, that he went up into a mountain to pray. Up from Mark. Because if he's going into a mountain, obviously the mountain is outside. You don't need to say he went out to the mountain. I mean, it does say that in Luke, but it is more descriptive to say he went up into a mountain. That puts the imagery that he's actually walking up the mountain. Now, if I just said he went out into a mountain, that could work, and it does say that in Luke. The problem is it leaves out all the imagery that you might get of him going and actually taking the long hike. It's just a choice between the word up from Mark and out, because I don't think I can have them both without the word goes in Mark. I thought about this for a while. If I try to have them both, I could say, and it came to pass in those days that he went out and up into a mountain. But I just don't think that works. It came to pass in those days that he went out and up into a mountain. No, it just doesn't flow. So I'm just going to change it to he went up. And I could say this and, as I had it before, is from both. He is from both. And it came to pass in those days that he went up into a mountain. There. Reads well, it's smooth, it's fast, gets the point across. And I'll just have here he went up into a mountain. Came to pass in those days he went up into a mountain. So over to Matthew now. 5. Seeing the multitudes. I'm not going to use he went up, but I will use into a, because I'm also going to save mountain. I'm going to say he went up the mountain. So into a, I can put in here. Into a is all three.